Hey everyone, it's Jamie. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for clicking on this video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I make easy Christmas gnome ornaments out of Dollar Tree items. So stick around and see how I do this. First, I'm going to start by taking an empty toilet paper roll and measuring 1/2-inch marks. This is how wide the brim of the hats will be. I will be cutting out 4 of these brims. For the first hat, I'm going to be using this green yarn from the Dollar Tree. For the first hat, I cut 35 pieces of yarn at 12 inches long. To make the hat, I'm taking a piece of the yarn and folding it in half, matching the ends, putting them through the ring, bringing the ends over the ring and putting it through the loop, and then pulling it until it is cinched down to the top of the ring. Here is the hat so far. Now I'm going to take a piece of yarn and tie it around the hat, leaving about 2 inches of the yarn at the top. Then I'm going to be trimming off about 1/2 inch of the yarn. I will do the same thing to make the other 3 hats using red yarn, black chenille yarn, and gray and white cotton twine from the Dollar Tree. Now that the hats are made, I'm going to move on to making the heads of the gnomes. For the first 3 gnomes, I will be making pom-poms. I don't have a pom-pom maker, so I will be making my own using the back of a cereal box. I'm going to take a round object the size of the pom-pom that I want to make. Here I'm using a candle, but you can use any round object. I'm going to trace around the candle, making 2 circles. Then placing a quarter in the middle of one of the circles, I'm going to trace around it. Then I'm cutting out the circles. On the circle where I traced the coin, I'm going to draw 2 lines about 1 inch apart. Then cut out the inner circle starting on one of the lines. This is to make a notch. Next, I'm going to take that circle and lay it on top of the other circle and trace around the cutout, then cut out the notch. To make the pom-poms, I'm taking the 2 circles and putting them together. Then with the yarn, I'm going to start wrapping it around the circle. Now that I'm done wrapping it, you can see it's pretty thick. I'm just going to snip off the yarn. Then going between the 2 circles, I'm going to cut the yarn, going around the circle. Now that I got the yarn cut from the circle, I'm going to take a piece of yarn about 8 inches long, and holding the circle in one hand to keep the yarn secured, I'm going to take the piece of yarn and slide it between the 2 cardboard circles. Then I'm going to tie the yarn by pulling on each end like I'm tying a shoe. I'm going to cinch it down as far as I can. And then tie a knot. I'm removing the cardboard circles, shaking out the pom-pom, and then trimming the long pieces of yarn off. I will make 2 more pom-poms using white chenille yarn and brown jute twine from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys that I had a little issue with the jute twine. If you have brown yarn, I would recommend using that instead, because as you can see, the jute didn't form a very good pom-pom. You can see where there's a space. So I just went in with some hot glue and ran it down the middle where it's tied together, and I just kind of squished it together to form the pom-pom. For the last gnome head, I will be using this gray chenille yarn from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make sort of a tassel by wrapping it around 3 of my fingers about 32 times. Next, I'm going to be taking a piece of yarn, and I will be sliding the bundle off my fingers and then tying it together with the yarn. And then going through the bundle, I will be snipping the loops in half. Next, I'm going to go through and separate each piece of the yarn by untwisting the strands. To assemble the gnomes, I'm going to start with adding some stuffing from an old pillow to the inside of the hats. Then using hot glue, attaching the hats to the pom-poms. For the green hat, I'm going to add 2 small bells from Dollar Tree. Using a yarn needle, I'm going to wrap a piece of tape around the end of a piece of yarn to help thread through the needle. Then I'm going to string the bells on the yarn. Then I'm going to tie the bells around the top of the hat. And then snip off the ends. Next, I'm going to be adding the noses to the gnomes. For the gray and white and the red gnome, I'm using wooden beads. For the green gnome, I'm using a white pom-pom. And for the black gnome, I'm using a mini ornament from the Dollar Tree. For the gray and white gnome, I went in and trimmed his beard. For the red gnome, I'm going to add 2 big pom-poms from Dollar Tree. First, I'm trimming off the top of the hat a little bit more. Then I'm adding hot glue and attaching one of the pom-poms to the front and then attaching a second one to the back side. I didn't really like the way this turned out. I think with 2 pom-poms it's too big. So if you do this, I recommend only using 1 pom-pom on the front. For the gnome with the black hat, I'm going to be making it a deer. I will be adding antlers. To do this, I'm using brown pipe cleaners. I'm folding the pipe cleaner in half and then cutting it. Then taking 1/2, I'm going to fold it in half and leaving about an inch at the bottom. I'm going to twist the 2 legs together a couple of times. Then folding the bottom up to the middle. And then I will be cutting that part in half. Then taking the other half of the pipe cleaner, cutting it in half, and then placing the end of the pipe cleaner in the middle, holding it there, and then wrapping the end around the base. Next, I'm going to be gluing the antlers to the side of the hat by placing them between the yarn and gluing them to the cardboard ring. Then I'm going to cut the antlers a little shorter on this one side so that it matches the other side. Lastly, I'm going to add hangers to each gnome by taking a yarn needle and threading it with a piece of yarn, then inserting the needle through the top of the hat, pulling the yarn through to the other side. Then I tie a knot in the end of the yarn, forming a loop. And then snipping off the remaining yarn. So this is how all 4 of the ornaments turned out. I think they turned out super cute. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I wanted to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!